everyone, it's Presbytera Dimitra. I hope you're having a blessed Holy Week. Tomorrow is Holy Thursday, and in the evening service of Holy Thursday, the priest usually carries Jesus on the cross, the Estavromeno, in a procession, and he places him in the center of the church. And at this point, the priests, the altar boys, they lay wreaths at Jesus' feet, they place wreaths on the cross, and so since this year is going to be very different for all of us, since we won't be able to physically be in church to witness this, I was discussing with Father George what we can do as a family to present our own wreath to Jesus. And I didn't want it to just be a wreath of flowers that we could go to the store and buy, or we can use flowers from our garden to make. I wanted it to be a little more meaningful, because this Pascha is going to be more meaningful. And so in our discussion with Father George, Father came up with a brilliant idea. He said, Jesus was given a crown of thorns. Wouldn't it be nice to make him a wreath of good deeds? And I thought it was wonderful to do that, especially this year, because that's exactly what Jesus asks of us, and that's exactly what he wants of us. He wants our good deeds. So in this whole process of discussion and thinking how to go about making this wreath, I thought, yeah, we can get the flowers from outside, or we can use real flowers, but it would be more nice and more meaningful if we can actually make a wreath on our own. And this might be a fun project idea that you can do with your kids, and it'll certainly take up some time, and it'll create more meaning in this whole beautiful Holy Week that we're having. So what you'll need to make this wreath is actually very, very simple. You'll start off with a paper plate. If you don't have a paper plate, you can use poster board, you can use cardboard and just cut out the shape. But if you do have a paper plate, that's perfect. So you'll take a paper plate, you'll cut around the center. So the circle, voila, you are left with a wreath, or at least what we're going to make into a wreath. So that's the first step. We have our wreath. The second step now would be to actually make some flowers. Like I said, you can get real flowers, you can use flowers, you can even use those fake flowers that they have and people usually decorate their vases with and stuff like that. But if you want to make this more meaningful, we'll make some flowers. And so the easiest way to make a flower, we were thinking, would be out of tissue paper. Tissue paper flowers, they're quick and easy and very simple. So what you'll need to make a tissue paper flower is tissue paper, obviously. You'll need some string and scissors. So the tissue paper it can be obviously any color. You're making flowers, so the more colorful the better. I found that if you want to make smaller flowers, so if we want to put them on this size plate, which is a 10-inch plate, it would be ideal for the tissue paper to be 4x8, 5x8, something along those lines, so it's not too big but not too small. So you'll need 5 sheets of tissue paper. 5 makes a nice full-looking flower, but not too big, not too small. So we're trying to find that happy balance or medium. So you'll take your 5 sheets of tissue paper and you'll lay them flat in front of you, and then we're going to start folding this accordion style. So you'll fold, and you'll only want to fold about 1 inch in. You don't want to make it larger than 1 inch because it'll just be too big. So you fold straight in, and then you flip your paper over and you fold it out. Flip your paper back over, back in, back out, back in, until you reach your final one, and there you go. That's the first step. You'll just have your tissue paper like this. Then you'll want to take a piece of yarn or string or whatever it is you're using, and you just want to tie the center of your tissue paper. You don't want to make it too tight, but you want to make it tight enough so that it doesn't come apart. Okay, there we go. Perfect. If you want to cut off the edges, that's fine. If you don't, that's also fine. Then we'll take our scissors and we're going to want to shape the edges of our tissue paper. So I'm just going to cut in a circular pattern, just like that. Okay, and same thing on the other side. You can cut it triangular, you could not cut it if you want. Circular just makes it nice and fluffy. So you'll have something that looks like this. Then the next step would be to fold out our flower, or fluff it out. So you'll take your flower as is, your tissue paper, and you want to fan it out so it looks like a little fan. Just like that. And then you're going to want to start very slowly and carefully to take your tissue paper apart, just like that. Really, really careful and really gentle because you don't want to rip your tissue paper. So you'll do that on one side. And then you want to repeat the same step on the other side. So we fan it out. And we take out one. Carefully, very, very carefully. There you go. So we have the center of the flower. And once you do that, you can go ahead and start opening up and fluffing out the rest of your flower. Again, very slowly, very gently. You don't want to rip it. And this will take a couple of minutes, especially if you're going really slow and really gentle and really careful. And it actually might be a nice idea while you're doing this to just say a prayer, a quick prayer to Jesus, to think about Jesus. Because remember, this is who we're doing this for. And just like when we buy a gift for someone or we're shopping for someone, don't we usually think about that person and say, oh, I hope they like this gift, or, oh, what would they like? This is the same idea. It's the same concept. We're doing this for Jesus, and so we should be thinking about Jesus. So we have our one side all fluffed up on this side, and we're just going to go ahead and continue the same process on the other side to fluff up the rest of our flower. We're almost there. Once you make a few of these, you get the hang of it, and you can make them a lot quicker. Your first one is going to be a little slower and more difficult, I guess, but once you get the hang of it, it's very, very easy and very quick. We only have one more sheet here to undo, and then we'll put our wreath together. Perfect. There we go. All right, so there you have it. A little paper flower, very simple, nothing big or complicated. I made a few here, as you can see. And I've also started laying out our wreath. So to lay out the wreath, you'll obviously need some leaves or something green. And you can do this by using green tissue paper and just laying it around on your plate. Or, as a teacher, I had so many Post-its of different shapes and sizes, and I was lucky enough to find my leaf Post-its, and I said, okay, I might as well use them for something, right? So I decided to lay out my wreath, all these leaves, and I just glued them on the wreath all around. You can do any shape, any design, anything you want. I was lucky enough to find these. If I didn't have these, I could have made my own leaves out of construction paper, or like I said, you could just use tissue paper. And then we're going to start to place our flowers. I've already placed most of them, as you can see. Again, you can do any color you want. I thought these would be nice and more subdued for Holy Week, purple, those kinds of shades. So we'll glue one more here. All you'll need to do is take your glue. You can either apply it to the flower itself. I'm also going to apply some here. And you'll want to just glue it right onto your wreath. It'll take a few seconds for it to sort of hold together, but ultimately it would look something like this. So this is a simple wreath made out of tissue paper flowers, but where do the good deeds come in? Because that's the most important part of this whole project. So if you have leaves, if you made leaves and you covered your plate with leaves, you can actually, on the leaves, write some good deeds that you would want to place at Jesus' feet. So after discussing with Father George, we came up with some that we as a family would want to give. So we were thinking our prayers. We want to give our prayers to Jesus. We want to give humility. We want to give kindness, love, compassion, all these things. And so we came up with 7, one for every day of the week. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right ahead and write them directly on the leaves. Now, you can also, if you have other little pieces of paper, you can stick them onto the leaves or onto your tissue paper, whatever. This is your project. You can make it your own. But we're going to just write them directly onto the leaves. So I'm going to write compassion here. I'm going to write love here. We can do humility. What else? We can do prayers. We'll do kindness. And there's no particular order that you need to do this in. Just whatever fits, whatever looks nice. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What are we missing? Most important one for this week, repentance, metania. I love that in Greek. So let's see where I can fit metania. Do it right here. Okay. And it doesn't have to be just virtues or things that you want to give. It could be an actual physical object that you want to give. So it could be a flower. It could be an Easter egg. It can be whatever. Especially if you ask your children what they would want to give, I'm sure their answers will not be as philosophical, I guess, as ours, or more theoretical. They'll be more practical. And so I actually asked our daughter, she's not even 2 yet, she's going to be 2 next month. I asked her, what do you want to give Christuli? And she said she wants to give him psomaki, which obviously is like a very silly answer, but it's really cute. And so that's what we're going to add to our wreath, because that's what our daughter wants to give. So there you go. So again, ask your children. And the simple answers are the most beautiful answers. And I think that's what's so important for us as parents to realize, that our children's answers, which are simple and innocent and pure, are actually the best gifts that we could give our Jesus on Holy Thursday.